Late. Late, late, late. Yes, I'm late, okay? Get over it. Actually, I need my mouse. I don't have my mouse. You can't see me right now. So I'm going to have to use the trackpad, which is annoying. So I'm going to have to lean down. And as if by magic... Hello, everyone. Yes, we're live. There's always one bit of hair. There's always one bit of hair. Welcome to everyone who's watching live. Thank you all for coming. I've got my phone so that I will be able to see live chat. But honestly, this is like... it's almost kind of... it's impressive. People, you know, you think you see the channel, right? You know, 250,000 subscribers, big YouTube channel. You know, live streaming, big part of what I do. And honestly, right now, I'll take a picture of it and upload it to Twitter after I'm done. Like, this is the worst setup I've ever had. Ever. Like, in terms of... this microphone is on some crates, which are empty, so it wobbles loads. The camera's on my shoe stand with 2 shoe boxes, and then it's on that. The light is on top of the radiator with a shoe holding it in place. It's a common theme. I like shoes, okay? There's some just boring wall behind me with loads of shadow. I'm really sweaty. My laptop's on the floor. I haven't got my mouse, so I can't... Where would my mouse be? I actually don't know where it is. It's kind of annoying. But there you go. Look, you're not here. I never promised professionalism. I've never delivered professionalism, okay? This is part of what makes the channel endearing, I like to think. And I haven't even, after all that, I haven't even got live chat up, so I don't know what you lot are saying. I can't see down there. So yeah, welcome to the post-race live stream after the Australian Grand Prix. Maybe it's because I've had to get up at 5 a.m. 2 nights in a row, and I'm sleep deprived, maybe. That's why this is so chaotic. I don't know. You know what? Sometimes I just don't have the answers. Also, my phone was connected to the telly downstairs, so I think I've just turned that off. So I'm sure Hannah appreciates that. There we go. Perfect. Thank you, Steve, for the €2. Why now? It's the IndyCar Grand Prix of Long Beach. Well, I like IndyCar, but... you know, this is Tommo F1, was Tommo F1, not Tommo IndyCar. So, sorry to anyone who's watching IndyCar or missing out. Maybe you can just have me on the side. You could have IndyCar on one screen and me talking about the Australian Grand Prix on the other. How does that sound? But yeah, thank you all for coming. Thank you. I can see you all. You're all here on my phone. Excellent. Thank you, Red, as well, for the $10. As a Carlos fan, I'm in pain, but that Alex one stop was peak. Well, peak... to me, means bad, but maybe in the US, peak means good. We'll see. Anyway, we'll get into that. Thank you all for coming. Tommo IndyCar channel. Look, I do enjoy a bit of IndyCar. But we're not talking about that today. Thank you to everyone who's watching and listening to this after the fact as well. If you couldn't make the live stream, you're not missing much, to be honest. Like, I'm gonna try. What I'll do, I've got all the graphics sorted. We'll go through. We'll talk about the race. Also, I'm gonna do my back laying like this. I'm half inclined to like pick the microphone up. Yeah, that's better. Do all that. I look so. Look at how pale and pasty I look as well. This lighting's not doing me any favours. I need to get this. I haven't got my desk yet. Anyway, I keep digressing. Yeah, we're gonna go through the race. Going to talk winners, going to talk losers, going to look at the championship. I did an extra graphic for that. And ponder what happened. So first of all, chat, to anyone who's been here before, we always start with the race rating out of 10. Let me know what you're saying. Out of 10. Out of 10 for the Australian Grand Prix. What are we saying, people? 7. So, thank you, Hannah. I mean, it's not true, but thank you. 6, not 6s. 5, 7, 4, 8. 8, 5, 5. Okay, interesting. I'd say 6 to 7 is about right. Han, you watched the highlights. You didn't even watch the race. You can't give a rating. Okay, so a lot of 7s, a few 6s. I'd say the average, looking like it's between 6 and 7. You can look at the live chat. Well, and again, this is where if I had my mouse, it would be. But I need to reach down here to click the graphic. So the race review out of 10, according to me, the authority on the subject, obviously, is... One sec. 6 out of 10. I gave it 6, which is still, again, 5 is we're not about these kind of giving something a 5 if it's bad. Okay, 5 is a solid race. It's not bad. It's not good. It's in the middle. And this was slightly better. There wasn't the battle for the lead, which is always extra captivating, and I think that's what kind of turned a lot of people off. But there were good battles through the field. There was changeable. There wasn't much action on lap 1 apart from Carlos having his incident. And but all in all, I enjoyed the race. I think 6 out of 10 is a good score. Okay, anything 5 and above is a race that you're like, yeah, that was at least okay. Acceptable. So it was between 6 and 7, and I went with 6. But so nice to be back in Australia. And again, I was talking about this, I think on the first stream we did. It's mad to, the last time we raced in Australia, this channel didn't even exist. It wasn't even in my mind, because my first ever video was when Albon replaced Gasly at Red Bull, which was 12 races into the season in 2019. So it'd been 1,000 and something days. So a long time. I'll drop my phone. Great. Long time. And Strictly Come Dancing. Yeah, it's been a long time, and I missed it. You know what? I think what we learned from this track compared to... Because I still think that I still think looking at Bahrain, particularly Saudi Arabia, I think you could definitely question whether DRS was a necessity in the races being good. I think you can. I'm not saying I think it didn't need DRS for Saudi and Bahrain, but I'm saying I think you can definitely have that question. But this weekend in Australia, DRS was absolutely a necessity in getting any moves done. That was clear to see. Which, as much as they changed Albert Park, that's kind of always been the case. It's never been an amazing track for. It's always been a really bad track for overtaking. Actually, it's not beat around the bush. It's always been a really bad track for overtaking. So yeah, I mean, this was an example where DRS is absolutely still needed, and an example of why, again, in my video talking about it's to just take it off for all tracks just because it's questionable its use at a track like Saudi Arabia. No, you're gonna end up ruining events that necessitate it. That's not even a word. That require it, and Australia's one of them. So, but obviously they knocked it down from 4 to 3. Was it the right decision? I guess. Yeah. I mean, I don't think we really needed that. A couple of people got moves done down that straight that would have had DRS but didn't have DRS. Anyway, so it's fine. Whatever. Cool. I ain't keep it for now. Again, I'm happy to try it out. No DRS for some of the sprints might be cool. Give that a go. But yeah. So the race, all in all, 6 out of 10, pretty good. Now let's look at where everyone finished. If you haven't watched the race, I don't know why I'm saying this. Why would you be here if you've not watched the race? But if you haven't, then judging by the thumbnail, you'll know that a certain Mister Alex Albon won the... Oh, no, he didn't. He came 10th. But it's basically a win because the Williams is not great. It's bad. It's probably a worse car. Quite great performance there. But Charles Leclerc P1 over Sergio Perez, George Russell P3. First podium in a Mercedes for George Russell. Scenes. And all in all, I think, like, obviously, a very dominant performance from Charles Leclerc, really. What did almost 3/10 to Max in qualifying and never really looked too in danger on pace before Max pulled up, obviously, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, I mean, great weekend for Ferrari. I know there's a strong Ferrari, big Italian contingent in Australia as well. So kind of like I would say if there's a home race for Ferrari outside of Italy, then Australia maybe. I feel like I get that vibe from it. And there's a lot of Aussie tifosis. Thank you, Michael, for the $5 as well. For this, for your sweet baby boy album finishing in the point. Couldn't have put it better myself, Michael. Couldn't have put it better myself. My sweet baby boy. Oh, that's good. That's good. I like that. That's funny. But yeah. And obviously Daniel Ricciardo it's like half Italian, isn't he? So I think, I know there's quite a strong Italian community in Australia. That's why I say that. But yeah, Charles Leclerc won. Sergio Perez P2. Solid. I mean, obviously Red Bull didn't seem to have the pace. Sergio missed out at the start, which I think kind of inhibited his chances of having a bit more impact on the race. But then I don't think he ever would have caught Charles. And ultimately, P2 can be very happy with that. All things considered, I think, really good result from Sergio. And again, it's one of them that, he's clearly a lot more comfortable in this car and able to get to the ceiling of this Red Bull much closer than he was last year. And again, there's a multitude of factors for that. But also because, Sergio Perez is quality. He was probably driver of the year in 2020. And then he has this 2021 where there's all this nuance to why he was so far off Max. And I think this just proves a lot of points that I feel like I've made on the point, which is that, you don't lose talent overnight. Sergio Perez, top dollar, well done. Only like less than a tenth of Max in qualifying as well. So really good job from Sergio. And then, George on the podium. Should it have been Lewis? Obviously, George got lucky with the safety car to then leapfrog Lewis. But great result for him. Great result for the team. And he's P2 in the Driver Championship, which is just ridiculous, to be honest. How's George Russell P2 in the Drivers Championship? That is honestly mad. But yeah. McLaren 5-6. Scenes. I mean, considering where they were in Bahrain, I'm sure there's a lot of McLaren fans out there who are very happy because things were looking peak. And that's a bad thing. Remember, peak is bad. Things were looking bad after Bahrain. Better in Saudi, not great, but a lot better here. How much of it is they're just working out set up? How much of it is the car being fundamentally flawed or good? We still don't know. I think there's so much learning going on. We talk about Alonso potentially, had the car underneath him to put it in the top three, seemingly. But, I think there's still so much discovery going on. And it's going to be very interesting to see how things go. Ocon, Bottas, Gasly, Albon rounds out the top 10. But yeah, we'll get back onto. We'll go through all the teams, all the drivers, give everyone some love. You know what I mean? Give everyone some love. You're confusing bleak and peak. No. It's like peak times. Like, that's peak. Bad. Anyway, right. Now, let's talk my winners, my losers. Should we do mine or yours first, actually? Now, let's do mine first. Because obviously, broadly speaking, they're the same. So, driver W of the weekend. So we are factoring in. I know obviously everything comes down to, you don't win points on Saturday, but in terms of driver performance over the course of the weekend, driver, biggest W, team, biggest W, and then driver, biggest L, team, biggest L. So who had a good time? Who had not such a good time? And it felt like for this weekend, particularly in the L category, there were many, many, many potential, like you can easily rationale, make an argument. And I put out the poll on Twitter, YouTube community earlier today. If you saw it, you might have done it. If you didn't, sorry, but you missed out. But next time, maybe. Just keep your eye out. Follow me on Twitter and then you'll see it, okay? Or subscribe. Make sure you're subscribed. Right, everyone, make now. Quick. You haven't got long. Something's going to happen, I don't know. Right, so, I polled you lot. So we get your opinion, your collective opinion, and then my opinion, which of course is the correct one. So we're going to start with my correct opinion for my winners, losers. I'm going to have to go down here to do... Sorry, I know it's not very seamless, but here we go. So, my W of the weekend, unsurprisingly, is Alexis Albon. Team of the weekend, McLaren. L of the weekend, I've gone Sebastian Vettel. And Team L, I've gone Aston Martin. Unsurprisingly. Don't think there's any huge surprise. The only one, to be fair, the one here, it's driver L of the weekend. That, there is many, many potential suitors, signs. Alonso, Verstappen. There's plenty of potential. Stroll just for qualifying, and FP1, FP2. But you look over the course of the whole weekend, and Vettel took a bigger L than Stroll. Stroll actually finished the race. Was running quite well, apart from that stupid penalty that he got. So yeah, that's the way I see it. Honourable mentions on screen you can see as well. So obviously W's. I thought Leclerc. Obvious, I get why. I mean, Leclerc drove a pretty faultless weekend. The race was it was not a cakewalk, but he made it look that way. Smashed it. And then Russell, I think, deserves a shout out as well because, considering where that Mercedes seems to be, did a lot to get out of that. Albon didn't have a horrific qualifying. He's in a Williams. What do you expect? It's like the worst car. And he almost got out of Q1, so that's not horrific. Latifi didn't crash. Maybe he should have got W of the day for not crashing. Yeah, maybe. And then team... I can't bloody see because my eyes aren't good enough. Team W weekend. Oh, yeah, Williams. Yeah. Williams, Ferrari, obviously. Ferrari. But anyway, they're mine. No one you don't care about mine. Why would you care about what I've got to say? What you care is about what you've got to say because everyone cares about themselves. So for all of you watching, if you did this poll, then you're going to be part of this poll. So you're going to care more about this because this is the collective, okay? This is the community. So that's what I thought. But here's what you thought. Again, I need to bend down here. Sorry. It's not ideal. But there you go. Your drive W of the weekend was Charles Leclerc. Team of the weekend, McLaren. Carlos Sainz, L of the weekend. He was definitely up there. And then obviously Aston Martin, McCutcheon. Clear. The percentages are strong with this one. Oh, my phone's just decided to lose connection to the internet as well. That's great. It's fantastic. Fantastic work. So I can't see the live chat. Sorry, everyone. Gonna have to deal with it. I would love to read you the percentages, but my laptop's down there. My phone's doing weird stuff, and I can't see. So you can see. I'm sorry if you're listening, if you're audio only podcast after the fact. This is the one part. Look, it's sorry, but you're not going to be able to read the numbers. So You can't win them all. But yeah, Charles W, Carlos L, McLaren W, Aston Martin L. No big surprises there. Nothing to write home too much about. To be fair, here we go. There we go. Lovely. Live chat's back. Tommo, are you pissed? No, I'm tired. I'm tired. And when you're tired, you just chat. Okay. This is what this channel's all about. Okay. But I can understand why it would come across that way. Because I'm running on fumes. Because I mean the amount of people who because if you in the UK to get up for the race, so I woke up at like 5:45 and just watched it on my phone in bed in the hotel I was staying at because I had a wedding last night. I didn't really have much to drink though. So, and like it was early, but it wasn't like go back to bed after the race early. So because the race was wrapped by 7:30. So like. No, I'm not going to go back to bed at 7:30. I guess on your weekends you might want to, but I don't fall asleep very easy, so that wasn't really an option for me. But anyway, and also I don't know if you can see here. There's a little red mark. Basically, last night, got into bed on my phone, did the classic, dropped it, bonk. I dropped it from like that far away from me, this phone, and it cut me. I'm like, where's the sharp edge on this Galaxy? Where is... I just called it a Galaxy. That's a boomer moment, man. Terrible. I don't know how I cut, but I feel like it hurts. Like the bone hurts here. So I feel like it might bruise up a bit. But we'll see. So yeah, I've never done that before. That's the classic. The bonk. I wouldn't recommend it. It hurt so much. It's one that just sends this shockwave of pain through your body. It's horrible. Would never happen with an iPhone. I mean, no. Come on. Cutting edge technology. Very good, Globy. I like that a lot. Very good. Okay, cool. So winners and losers done. Now let's go through the teams. Annoyingly, this is going to involve a lot of me bending down and clicking. That sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? Although, actually, no. What should we do? Let's do the standings first. And also... Oh, did I? Okay. We'll do standings at the end. Actually, let's do standings next. But I forgot to load standings into the thing. See, look, I always make one mistake. Here we go. But, okay. They're the championship standings. You can see them. They're next to me. But I can't. So, oh no! I didn't update the numbers. Oh, God. I'm tired, man. So, everyone has 71 points. It's been the most competitive Formula One season we've ever seen, and every single driver has somehow, after 3 races, with 26 maximum points to be achieved per race, every single driver, including Nicholas Latifi, has managed 71 points. It's absolute scenes. I can't believe it. And they're all in the exact same order as how they finished the Australian Grand Prix as well. I'm really tired. I'm actually really tired. And this is becoming clearer as we go on. It's dark now. There's a light in my face. I'm struggling. But we'll get through this, okay? We will, together. Because I'm sure many of you are tired as well, okay? This is my get up, okay? So we're going to take this graphic off the screen, and then now we're going to go through the teams. Because now we know, now we've got such a good idea with 2 weeks until the Emiliano Romagna, whatever it's called, Grand Prix. We know exactly where everyone is in the driver stands because you can see right here that everyone's on 71 points. Duh. Come on now. Okay. Let's go through the teams. Okay, let's go through the teams. And I'll go to bed. So Ferrari. excellent weekend performance-wise from the car, proven that this Ferrari is a little bit special. They were clear of Red Bull this weekend, it felt like. And look, the only L, and it's significant, is that Carlos Sainz wasn't able to capitalise a weekend where he had a car that he could have at least got P2. Maybe even won if he hadn't have had... Look, there was a lot happened out of his control. The Spaniards weren't lucky this weekend. The Spaniards had the worst luck. So obviously, if you don't know, so qualifying, Carlos was literally seconds from crossing the start-finish line, and then the red flag was rolled out after... I can't even remember who crashed. There was an incident in Q3, and done, whatever. Carlos's time... So he didn't have a banker lap because the red flag came out just before he crossed the start-finish line. So rotten luck for him. So went in, start the car to go out, and car won't start. Some kind of issue with the starter. And so he got out eventually, but then didn't have time. And it felt, from what we saw, you needed 2 laps. You needed 2 out laps to get enough temperature in your tyres. Because obviously it was like late evening qualifying. I guess that must have been a factor. And when Carlos went for his push lap, they were too cold, and he kind of lost it on that quick left-right. I don't know, corner names, whatever. Almost binned it completely. Did well to hold on to it, and ended up P9 in the end. Only because because it was Alonso who crashed, wasn't it? Because Alonso crashed. So yeah, there we go. But and even it wasn't even Alonso's fault that he crashed, because the car just, like, the gears ballsed up on it. So yeah, not a great quali for Sainz. And then in the race, before the race started, he had to get a new steering wheel for some reason, and that wasn't set up properly. And obviously the starts are super, super precise and defined, and something to do with settings on the wheel, because it was a new wheel wrong, and he had a terrible start. He was on the hard tyres anyway, so that would have made his job harder. But then you got that on top of it, he just fell back. And then just, he said it himself, just pushing too hard, too early on still cold, hard tyres, trying to go past Magnussen, I think it was, wasn't it? And then ended up binning it. End of his weekend. Most of that's out of his control. And... yes, you'd be like, oh, we should have been more patient, which, yeah, obviously in hindsight, if he'd have been more patient there, he might have been able to creep back up through the order. Maybe even given, Max retiring and given the pace of that Ferrari, might have even managed to sneak a podium if he'd have done some mad strategy, maybe. So he's got to take some for that, but also he was dealt terrible hand. You know what I mean? It wasn't a good weekend for Carlos Sainz. He will feel him and Alonso just had the worst luck, which is big sad. Was it Mick? There you go. Thank you, Sturm, for the $4.99, mate. Appreciate it. If Red Bull and Merc can't figure out their issues, what's the earliest you can see the championship being clinched? Oof. I mean, Ferrari are looking pretty ominous. You've got to anticipate that. Look, Charles has finished every race. He's the only. Perez has had DNFs. Verstappen's had DNFs. Carlos has had DNFs. You've got to anticipate Leclerc's going to run into some issues down the line this season. It happens come on, it's normal for drivers to have technical issues But I do think there's pace in that Red Bull. A lot of it as well depends if you believe Mercedes are going to turn around and just turn up with this update that makes the car as good as the top cars, which, I mean, what are we basing that on? Just blind belief in Mercedes, maybe. So, yeah, I'm not I certainly hope it's not wrapped up early. But again, because, Ferrari haven't had success for so long, it is, as much as it is the kind of Leclerc domination at the minute, the races have been good. You know what I mean? So it's not the driver standings, everyone on 71 points, don't reflect the reality for 2 reasons. I can't believe I literally completely forgot to just change any of the numbers or the names. And I was just like, oh yeah, I've got time. I mean, I was late for a reason, okay? I should have just done this stream to start at 9 o'clock. Then it would have been a lot more seamless. Or not, because I'd have been as tired as I am now. And I feel very tired. But anyway, great weekend for Ferrari. Not too many complaints from a car point of view. Just unlucky for Carlos. But yeah, I think that, clearly they're strong at Bahrain, slower speed, corners. I mean, Imola's going to be an interesting challenge because it's very different. Proper old school track, and first proper old school track we'll have on the calendar this year. So I'm excited. It's looking good for Ferrari. It's looking good. Right. Next, let's talk about Red Bull next. So if I do this, boom. Red Bull. So obviously qualifying, not much in it. Like I've said this before, I know it's not a popular opinion with a lot of the Verstappen ultras. Okay, I know this is not, but I don't think the quality gap between Max and Sergio last year is just on driver merit. Okay, Max is a quicker driver than Sergio. Blah blah blah. I've said this a million times, but now that this is an unfamiliar platform for both of them, and they're both on a more level because Max isn't carrying the car knowledge. I've said this again loads of times. It can't be a coincidence that in the first three you've had Sergio out qualify Max once, and then he's within a tenth of Max as well here, Albert Park. That never happened last year. So I'm just saying, this is enabling Sergio. He can operate way closer to the ceiling of this car than he could last year's car because that was such a tricky car. And also Max was able to operate at 100% at the ceiling of that last year's car, which I don't think any of the drivers are operating at 100%, not even Leclerc, of their current cars. Of course not. They're brand new cars. They've had 3 races in them compared to last year's cars, which is an evolution of years of development on the same platform. So, but anyway, I still think, obviously Max out-qualified Sergio, was right up there, had an all right start, and would have been a comfortable P2. He wasn't expecting to challenge Charles, but it would have been a good 18 points for him in the bag, and the car just stopped. I don't know. Have they given any more information? I honestly haven't looked. I know you can't say that about Checo. What did I say bad about Checo? I've noticed the last few days, I've had loads of really defensive Checo fans have a go at me. I'm being complimentary to Checo. So what? I don't understand. I spent most of last year defending Checo and being like, this gap isn't relative. This isn't the real gap between Max and Checo. And then people calling me anti-Checo. I'm like, what the fuck? What's wrong with you? But anyway, fuel leak confirmed. Yeah, I mean, they said it was something fuel. Obviously, it was a fuel-related problem in the first race. Fuel-related problem this race, different type of fuel-related problem, but not good. And Max said it was unacceptable. And it was like you look. He's the defending world champion, whether you like it or not, and he's had 2 DNFs from fantastic point scoring positions in the first 3 races of the year. Ferrari haven't had any with Charles anyway, or at all. The Carlos DNF came from him. I think that was the first time Carlos hadn't scored points in a record number of races, 17 or something. But yeah, Max is right to be frustrated. Of course he's going to be. He wants to defend this championship. He knows he's got a car to challenge Charles, at the very least. And yeah, obviously it's a big shame for him. Obviously they need to get on top of whatever's going on because, is it anything to do with this Red Bull powertrains? No, probably. I mean, the first issue was nothing to do with that. It was a base part that everyone gets. But it doesn't look good. You know what I mean? two mechanical failures in the first 3 races for Red Bull, and then he won the other one. But I saw someone post on Twitter, wasn't it like one of Mika Häkkinen's title-winning seasons, he retired, won, and then retired the first 3 races. So it could still happen. There's plenty. That's the thing. With 23 races on the grid this year, the more races we have, the less each race matters. So what I mean by that is, like, if you've got 24 races, then you can afford to DNF the first. You can DNF the first 3 in a row and still, pull it out for the rest of the year, win the championship. But if there's only 2 races in a season, well, if you DNF in 1, then that's 50% of your point scoring opportunities gone. So, and that's an extreme example, but the point still proves that the more races you add, the more chance you can be like, okay, fine, we'll take the L at the start, but then we'll recover at the end. So, I'm just saying. But yeah, I think, like, the main thing that, Red Bull will be grateful for, because honestly, like, as well, I think the whole situation with Max being so clear of his teammates, Gasly, Albon, Perez last year, was that, it robbed Red Bull of the opportunity of winning the Constructors, which is obviously hugely important to them. And I think it's just so, it's such a relief. It's something that we didn't know. There was no guarantees of how Checo was going to be relative to Max this year. But I think it's such a relief that, yes, like, Checo is now able to perform at the level that we know he can. And because he's got this car now that he can, like, get on top of and start to build around him. And it's really good for the team. It's great for him, because we know how good he is. And it's great for Max as well, having a teammate that can really back you up even more. I mean, Checo did a great job backing him up last year. Without Checo, Max doesn't win that championship. But Checo should be able to do an even better job. If not, be a bit of an annoyance to Max at times, because, again, could have won at Saudi. Probably might have. Odds on, probably would have won at Saudi if it wasn't for the dodgy safety car timing. So, and we couldn't have said that last year on pure merit. I know he won at Baku, but that wasn't that Max crashed. So, Checo inherited the win. But I'm going to get oh, Tommo, you're being mean to Checo. No, it's the fact. I'm not being mean. I'm being complimentary. Whatever. There's always like a different driver's fan base that I'll manage to upset at some point. And I'm just like, you're so irrational. But I really don't like Max, apparently, from Law. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of you in the chat have told me that I'm a Max. I'm biased towards Max, so maybe you can tell Law that I'm what you think. But I don't know. Tell me stop being mean to Albon. But yeah, that's it. There's nothing more to say about Red Bull. Fantastic, like, that Checo got across the line, got the points, got P2, lovely job, Lee. But nil points for Max again, unfortunately. Right, Mercedes. Boom. With their slim side pods. I am biased for and against all drivers. Joe, spot on, mate. That's the only way of being. So, yeah, I mean, Mercedes, obviously, given the fact it's Mercedes, them getting P3 and 4 isn't anything to write home about, but given where their car seems to be and taking the name Mercedes away, good, solid drive. Great move from Lewis on Checo into turn 1. Oh, sorry, Checo slander. It was. And then obviously Russell also got past Lando at the start. So both Mercedes boys making moves at the beginning. Again, Lewis kind of established himself. Him and Perez were having that little battle. And obviously safety car, George finished ahead. But I think from what we've seen, like, George look, George coming into that seat, and there was always belief from my side that oh yeah, Lewis did Lando at the start as well. I forget that Lando started ahead of both Mercedes. So yeah, Lewis got the move done on Lando and Checo. Checo's Lando. What was I saying? I've completely lost my train of thought. Mercedes. Oh yeah, Russell. So Williams last year, like Williams up until this point, the only drivers like Russell would add as teammates was a Kubica that obviously isn't prime Kubica, and Latifi, who was, we'd never seen him against anyone else, and he'd wipe the floor with both of them in terms of outright pace. It's just true. And so we didn't really obviously F2 beating Lando, beating Alex, dominant season, says a lot. But there was always, and obviously Sakir was huge, gave Russell that opportunity to really show what he can do. But there was still always going to be those question marks, and I think George has done a fantastic job at quelling those and showing that, race pace wise, him and Lewis were pretty even in qualifying. I think Lewis out-qualified him by a tenth, I think it was, which is, exactly where George needs to be. He needs to be as close to Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion, as he can be, and he seems to be very close, which is promising for him, good for Mercedes long term, because we know Lewis isn't going to be in the sport forever, and Lewis knows this, and he wants the team to carry on succeeding when he's gone, and part of that is, and I think as well, I guess maybe because Mercedes, they haven't got this title challenging car, I think that just helps that relationship blossom a bit more as well, because it's like they're both working towards a common goal. It's not like they're fighting for a championship between each other, where things can start to get a bit frosty, right? And there's clearly a lot of respect there. I mean, Lewis posted the gym selfie with George, which, did we ever see him do that with Valtteri in 5 years together? I didn't see it. Maybe they did, but I didn't see it. But yeah, so Mercedes, and look, it's one of them as well. Of course, seeing Mercedes not at the top and seeming to struggle, okay? It's like when Man United used to dominate the league every year, and then when they started to fall off, there's a sense of oh, this is refreshing to not see the same team at the top all the time. And it is refreshing to not see, I know it's Ferrari and Red Bull, so it's not like Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri fighting at the top. That'd be lovely. I'd love that. That'd be amazing. Them two are just at the top and everyone else bottled it. It's not to be, but it's nice seeing Ferrari back at the top because it's been so long. It's refreshing. It just is. But yeah, I think, both had very good races. I mean, they both kind of had the same race. They both made good moves, and George got a bit lucky with the safety car, but you put yourself into that position to get that opportunity. And yeah, I think I am more than any other team. Well, no, probably not more. But just I'm very, very intrigued to see what upgrades Mercedes bring for Imola, because there's a lot of talk of there's been a 2-week break back in Europe, bringing. There's a dog barking outside. It's not Minton. Bringing upgrades and these cars looking quite a bit different. Maybe we'll see. But I think Imola's big upgrade time. I'd love a 4-way title fight. That'd be amazing. The car wasn't porpoising. I mean, the car wasn't the Mercedes was porpoising a bit, but it wasn't porpoising anywhere near as much as the Ferrari. Yet rapid. So what that does say is that, you look at the Ferrari being so quick this weekend and porpoising so much, and it's I don't know. Obviously, is it where Ferrari could tune the porpoising out of the car, but they'd lose performance? So you can have a quick porpoising car. You know what I mean? So then Mercedes blaming all their problems on porpoising. Does that kind of contradict with what Ferrari are doing? Kind of, but I'm not an engineer, so I don't know. It just sounds like I don't know. Whatever. You can make your own. I'm just talking out loud. I'm just spitballing, coming out with ideas. Right. We talked about Mercedes. Let's talk about McLaren, shall we? McLaren. Boom. Oh, boom. There we go. McLaren. I'm just waffling. But yeah, I mean, again, like I've said it already, Bahrain was such a concerning weekend for McLaren, but it's good to see that all these years of development and slowly improving and moving up the grid haven't been suddenly unwound, and they do have performance in their car. Maybe, because Imola's a very different track, maybe there'll be, because, we've talked about, poor slow speed corner performance. Would I be surprised to see a McLaren drop out of Q1 in Imola? I would not be surprised to see Daniel Ricciardo, more than likely, drop out because Lando's been out qualifying him. And yeah, I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. But they maximised on a track that, the car's very good at. How many points have they scored with this? What's a P5 and a P6? Someone will put it in chat. I can't be asked to do the maths because I'm too tired. But again, yeah, like a fantastic quality for Lando. It was a shame that he kind of fell down a bit. I think he said he got too much wheel spin. So it ended up just him and Daniel. It sounded like Daniel actually had more race pace, but McLaren asked him to just hold position because Lando was managing. That's my understanding. So in terms of the actual race, all in all, I think, again, equal, which is a good thing. You want your drivers to be equal. You want them to be equal in a good place, and I think they are. And this is, again, McLaren, the drivers operating at a pretty equal level. Can say the same for Mercedes. Can say the same for... I think you can say the same to less of an extent for Ferrari and Red Bull, but they're still very close, and I think Haas has been very unlucky, and I think Sergio's way closer. But, like, George and Lewis are, like, right there, and so are Daniel and Lando, and that's a good sign for the team, because you need that going forward. And, yeah, good weekend for McLaren. What more can I say? That was it. Good. Well done. Home race for Daniel Ricciardo. Very happy for him. A lot of Aussies loving it. He's a geezer. I like Daniel. He's a good bloke. He's a good bloke. I like him. And did anything else happen? What was that OTR sponsor on the McLaren? I was meant to look into that, but I never bothered. On the side part, it's like otr.com.au. Can someone just check what that is? I don't know what it is. I was meaning to look and I didn't look. Yeah, there's nothing. What else happened in the race from the McLarens? Nothing really. They had like a calm race. And it was quite... I don't know if they did it on purpose, but it seemed like when they crossed the finish line, they kind of did it in synchronization, whatever you call it. Because it's a big deal to the team, Petrol station, really? Interesting. Petrol station, very nice. Chain of convenience stores and fuel stations. Oh, I don't remember seeing one when I went to Melbourne. Melbourne a few times, but I don't remember seeing one there. But what do I know? Just Coles and Woolworths, which, if you're from the UK, Woolworths is not the same as Woolworths or Woolies, as you call it, in Australia. Woolies and Coles are like Tesco and Sainsbury's, kind of. And then you've got Aldi as well, haven't you? Or Lidl, or both. No, I think you've got both, haven't you? Well, but I liked Woolies. Woolies was my favourite. Okay, anyway, I digress. Next team. Let's talk Alpine. P now. There we go. Alpine. Still got the pink livery on the ground. Well, I mean, all the images are colorized pink, but it's the pink car, whatever. Yeah, man, like crazy. So I think there's clearly, like, because you look at last season and you look at the first two races. Look, I don't know. When I did talking points with Hayden, which went out earlier this morning, I was under the impression that, and maybe I'm wrong, like maybe I'm misremembering, but I was under the impression that in obviously in Bahrain you had, who was it? One out qualified the other, and then the other one had the slightly better race, and then in Jeddah it was like, no. So in Bahrain, Alonso out qualified Ocon, but then Ocon had the slightly better race. In Jeddah, Ocon out qualified Alonso, but Alonso had a slightly better race. That's the way I interpreted it, because they were battling, and the whole reason they were battling was because Alonso couldn't pull away from Ocon. So they had this nice scrap, and then the team said stop battling, and then they stopped battling, and Ocon wasn't within DRS of Alonso, and then Bottas got past Ocon. But I was under the impression their pace was pretty similar, but Alonso was slightly quicker at Jeddah, at Saudi. That was my impression. Maybe I'm wrong. But this weekend, Alonso was miles clear of Esteban, which it was weird. Like, this is one. I think it's an example because they're clearly close. They've proved it over last season. They've proved it, as far as I'm concerned, the first two races of this season, that setup can be massive. And Alonso was just clearly able to find a setup that just took the Alpine from a, maybe top of the midfield car to, I mean, he was like, he thought he could have put it on pole. I mean, I think his sector 3 would have been slower, but his sector 1 and 2, his sector 2 was purple. When the car then decided to give up on him and he couldn't switch down from 4th. So yeah, Alonso's pace was mad, ridiculous this weekend. Miles clear of expectation, miles clear of Ocon as well. So Ocon did an acceptable job from what you would expect. But when you see Alonso so clear, then that makes that job less acceptable, because then you're like, well, of course, obviously that the pace that Alonso got out of that car was in that car, and Ocon wasn't able to extract it for whatever reason. Set up, just a lack of talent in the moment. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, Alonso just so, I think he was the most unlucky driver of the weekend, actually. Considering when you think what could have been, and given it's Alpine, and the fact that it all went wrong, and he finished 17th, didn't he? He finished behind Latifi. Sorry, it's Latifi slander, but he's not doing well. So yeah, I mean, it just couldn't have somehow, like, Ocon managed to out-qualify and out-finish Alonso, which is not what should have happened. But look, the main thing, and obviously Alonso, I'm sure Fernando, the fact that he was able to get that car into a spot where it could potentially have split the Red Bulls and the Ferraris in qualifying, potentially been on the podium, especially with the Max DNF, with the Science DNF. It's a lot of what could have been, but that must give Fernando a lot of confidence that, maybe this team is onto something. Because, I've said this before, like, what have I said before? I'm so tired. I just keep forgetting my train of thought. Alpine. So they don't sell their engine to anyone else. They have their own engine that's made in Viry in France. Lovely. Put it in the car. Boom. Build their own chassis. Lovely. Bosh. And it's like, they could have an amazing chassis and a bad engine. They could have an amazing engine and a bad chassis, or anywhere in between. They could have both, slightly good. I mean, they've clearly got a good car. Clearly. It's not a top car, but it's up there in the midfield, clearly. Ocon's got like 71 points, sorry. Because everyone's got 71 points. And, I think, it must give Fernando confidence that maybe they can give him a car that he could potentially challenge, and this might be the you know, what motivates him to stick on another season in Formula One? Then obviously that brings up the Oscar Piastri question, which we've already pondered. But yeah, I think, you know, Alonso was unreal this weekend. Just super unlucky. And the way the mediums just fell off as well was weird. I don't know what caused that blistering. Does anyone know? Did any... I love how Tommo was talking to himself while chat is arguing. Oh yeah, that's my job, Crypto. Like, that's just the way it goes. There's all the people who don't say anything and just watch and just listen, and I'm in the background, or you're having a poo and you're just... I'm sure one of you's probably having a poo right now. And then you've got all the angry live chat, which is, you know, it's fine. Go off, just don't be rude. And oh yeah, sorry, my phone's vibrating on the thing, so it's making you think that your phone's going off. Also, why is this flickering in the middle? I feel like this is flickering. When I don't put my hand there, it like flickers. This middle bit here. Whatever. I digress again. Yeah, good for Alpine. Promising. Good points for Ocon P7. Sorry. Even Ocon was saying, you know, if he qualified a bit better, he felt like he could have been top 5. Didn't, and that's on him. But yeah, all in all, Alpine can be really happy. As much as it didn't work out for Alonso, it's showing that the potential is there. Tommo's getting delirious. I mean, yeah, you're probably not wrong. It's 9:30. I'm shattered. Okay, next team. Let's talk about Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo. This one. Boom. There we go. Beautiful car. Bottas P8. Not... So, first time Valtteri's been knocked out... first time Valtteri's not made Q3 since Australia 2017. So, the third longest run of all time behind Senna and Prost. So, it's Senna, Prost, Bottas. Fine company. So, yeah, not an amazing qualifying for either of them. He out-qualified Joe, but nothing to write home about. I don't really see too much of Valtteri's race. There's a few little scraps, but I don't know how I feel about the whole, like, Stroll kind of pushed him off a bit as well, didn't he? Which I thought was a little bit naughty. Didn't really give him the space. But Alfa Romeo's clearly got potential. And I think, you know, Bottas is settling in. Good point, you know, 4 points for him. Pretty good. And, you know, I know Joe, second weekend in a row, right? He's finished P11. I'm sure he was 11th in Saudi. And as frustrating as that is, it's another full Grand Prix for Joe Guan Yu. And I'm happy for him. Like, he seems to be switched on. He's got talent there, clearly. Performances look pretty good. And he seems like a sound kid. And I'm chuffed that he seems to be doing well. Expectations were pretty... I was saying this earlier as well. I do wonder if, you know, him being in F2 last year with these 18-inch wheels, with the tyres, he's got that little bit of an understanding kind of advantage over some other people. So, yes, he's a rookie, but he can kind of lean on that to help him. I feel like, you know, I don't think that can be a bad thing, necessarily. Joey's getting worse race by race. Really? That's a bit harsh. But thank you, Socks, for the 449. Usually a silent listener, but I will not sit and let people defend an assault. What? Wait, what? Defend an assault? Or what's going on? Oh God, I don't even want to know. But thank you, Socks, for the dono. Oh look, I've just seen a sausage dog appear in my peripheral vision. For the audio only listeners, obviously, because audio only, you won't be able to see him. I can't see him because he's just now decided to lay down. But are you going, Minton? You going to come in here? Come on, come. No, he's not going to come. So I'm going to close the door, and he might walk over and open the door. We'll see. We'll see if he fancies it. Okay, he might not want to be on screen. Okay, sometimes might be feeling a bit body conscious. You don't always want to be on camera. But anyway, yes, Alfa Romeo. All in all, not a bad weekend. at all, actually. A pretty good weekend. It would have been nice for Joey to get in the points. That would have that would have taken points from Alex, though. So, obviously, I'm glad Alex got the point. But yeah, is what it is. And I'm sure, it's looking promising for Joe. And looking all right at Alfa Romeo, all things considered. I probably see him finishing, P6, 7 in the constructors. Expectations. But it'll be interesting to see at different tracks with that Ferrari power unit as well, kind of how they do. We'll see. Why are people talking about Mazepin? Come on, really? Right. Anyway, next team. Let's talk about AlphaTauri, the other Alpha. Boom. There we go. I think both Yuki and Pierre lost out with pitting just before the safety car, didn't they? So that was unfortunate for them. Hard to know where they would have finished. Yuki down in P15, wasn't he? Gasly P9, so a couple of points on the board for him. But, I mean, I don't know where they would have possibly finished if they had waited and had pit under safety car. I don't know what potential advantage they missed out on or how much they lost out. Hard to say. So a pretty forgettable weekend, particularly for Yuki, of course. Gasly, a couple of points, pretty good. Still very much carrying the flame for that team. But I do think Yuki's, he's been unfortunate this year, but I expect him, once we properly get underway, once the season starts running, get a few races under our belt, I expect Yuki to be up there and a lot closer, in my opinion. But I can't tell. I don't know. I've not been to the future, so I can't tell you. Anything can happen. Not much really more to say. What else? Nothing really. A few little scraps in the midfield, but nothing crazy. Thank you, John, for the $5. Tommo, your voice relaxes me when I poo. Well, I'm glad I can help, because you want to be relaxed, because then it I'm not going to carry on. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. Right, okay. Also, thank you, Jay, for the $2 New Zealand dollars. Love a bit of New Zealand. I know you'll talk about him soon, but Al Bono OP. We will, Jay. Thank you very much, mate. I appreciate that. But yeah, I expected, you saw in my pre-season predictions that I expected AlphaTauri to be best of the rest. I put them P4. And have they... I still think the potential's there, but also, yeah, you got to remember with AlphaTauri, there is that enforced ceiling. They're only ever going to be so good. So, hard to say. Right, next team. Let's talk about Haas. Not a good weekend for Haas. Better weekend for Mick Schumacher relative to his teammate. But I don't know. I was saying this to Hayden earlier. I don't know if was this just me, or did it feel like every time the camera cut to a car having some kind of slight off, not every time, a lot of the time, one of those cars was a Haas. I feel like maybe that car is, I guess, which, I mean, fair enough. You've had Magnussen away from F1 for a long period of time, drafted in last minute, still getting up to speed. Schumacher, in his second season, obviously had the big shunt in Saudi, missed the race. I think you can come up with rationale as to why maybe they are punting a little bit. But yeah, I mean, Mick did a better job than Kev. Wasn't a great weekend, all in all, for Haas. But you can't be great everywhere. I think obviously going to Imola, because they did well in Bahrain, bit of a slower speed track, more slow speed corners. I anticipate they'll have a much better time in Imola. That's my... Where? I don't know. Points, probably. Maybe. We'll see. But yeah, I think there's no need to give up on the Steiner ship or whatever it's called. Steiner ship just sounds dead. I'm sorry. It's not. No, that doesn't do anything for me. Steiner ship. It just doesn't work. But yeah, so I never had a ticket in the first place. Would it be Mick's first ever race at Australia? I mean, would F2 have gone there? I don't even know. Do F2 go to Australia? I have no idea. But yeah, I mean, not amazing for Haas, but they'll be fine. Did anything else happen with Haas? Not really. Oh yeah, you had that in qualifying, didn't you, where Schumacher almost destroyed Yuki's rear end. Wow, I just said that, didn't I? I mean, that is a correct definition of what happened. Take that as you like, right? Anyway, on to the next team. Aston Martin. Here we go. Aston Martin. Time for some pain in chat. At least it stops you lot talking about bloody marzipan. Okay, so where did we start? So FP1, Seb's car broke down. FP2, Seb missed out on loads of the session, I think, didn't he? And then FP3, both cars crashed. Had very similar accidents. So, already, terrible start to the weekend. Then qualifying, Stroll. Like, what is Lance doing? What is Lance doing? Sorry. I'm sorry. We haven't properly talked about this. Lance, come on. Like, look, I can accept, and we talked about this at Jeddah, I can accept that, you know, because Albon locked his front left, going for that move, I can accept. But this isn't the first time. We talked about this last season when Stroll turned into Tsunoda. Tsunoda got a penalty, which I thought was dumb. I made a video because I thought it was that dumb that Yuki got a penalty when Lance just turned into him and Yuki got the move done. But let me go off. And yeah, like, it was just, and it was, there was Battery Voltas, if you don't follow Battery Voltas, very good Twitter page, posted a great GIF. Go find it. I retweeted it. It's just Mr. Burns and Smithers throwing money at each other, and it's like Latifi and Stroll fighting. It just made me laugh. Hang on, actually, I've got my phone here. So audio listeners, I apologise, but this GIF was too good to. It got me. You know, sometimes when just things like get you, and you're like, oh, that's just too funny. Where is it? Here we go. If you can, are you gonna focus? There we go. Boom. Great GIF. I've tweeted 10,500 times. That's sad. Okay. So anyway, not a great start. Qualifying, yeah. So Stroll has his moment of just because. So again, to anyone who doesn't fully understand, this is my understanding of what happened. So Latifi's warming up for his lap. Stroll's behind him on a push lap. Then Stroll aborts said lap, but Latifi's been told by his team Stroll's on a push lap, so get out of the way. So that's why Latifi's kind of right out of the way. But then Stroll aborts said lap, so Stroll goes past Latifi, but then Latifi's like, oh, Stroll's going slow, so he's obviously aborted. So I'm going to go back past Stroll to continue my tyre warm-up, set up to start the lap, which I can understand why Stroll wasn't expecting Latifi. Of course, I can understand why, because he's just passed Latifi. Like, on a base level, I can understand why Stroll wasn't expecting a car to come through on his inside. But so, you're going slow on a racing track in the final section, and you just didn't look. Like, it's just, stupid. It's such a stupid accident, and it just annoys me. It annoys me more for the mechanics, and everyone's just worked their ass off to get your car ready for, and you just do some dumb. And Williams getting this massive, bill for some just absolute bozo moment. I don't know why the word bozo is so prominent at the minute, but there you go. So yeah, that was bad. But what that did do was allow Vettel to qualify because his car wasn't ready. But then because of that red flag, Seb was able to set a lap and went 18th, but quicker than Stroll. So did Stroll even set a time? I don't know. No one cares. Thank you, Chinwag, for the $2. He started a foundation to help himself. Brilliant. We're not talking about him, but thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. We're talking about Aston Martin. Anyway, oh my God, what are people fully arguing in this? Just what? Stop. You're never going to meet each other. It's a waste of energy. Just step away from the live chat if you can only argue. It's no point. You're not going to achieve anything. Nothing's going to change. Just don't argue. You learn this. Like I get loads of horrible stuff sent to me. I get people telling me I'm an idiot all the time. It's just not worth it. Don't worry. Just let people be wrong. Okay? It's fine. He started. You started it. No, you started it. We're talking about Aston Martin being bad, okay? Don't talk about anything else. So yeah, that happened. So then Stroll got the penalty, but then started 19th ahead of Alex because his car was illegal because fuel, which was foreshadowing because that's what happened to Seb last year with his podium being taken away. And Vlad, thank you for the 10 Canadian, and you've joined at the perfect time because I haven't talked about him yet. I'm just joining now. Unsure if your thoughts on Albon have been shared already. No. He's an absolute legend. We will get onto that. Yuki was not at fault at Brazil, Thork, by the way. He wasn't. It's a fact. I made a video about it. And so the race started. Was fine at the start. And Seb had he went on the gravel, didn't he? He wasn't the only one to struggle in that corner locking up. But carried on, went fine. And then, yeah, was it when someone was coming out the pits and he kind of was slightly out of position? Albon was there and he was like ahead, and then Seb was kind of on the inside a bit too much. And I mean, yeah, not good. Spun on the curb. Spinala. Sorry, hat set. Yeah, just a terrible weekend. It's been like he said it himself. It's been, he gets COVID, so has to miss the first 2 races of this brand new season. This new team that he's joined to work towards and build up. So he's robbed of that, out of his control, and then steps in this weekend. The car's clearly a pain to drive. Nico was struggling with it. Lance has been struggling with it. And yeah, I mean, just, bins it into the wall in FP3 and crashes in the race. And it's, look, obviously, all these things have conspired against Seb in a huge way, but he's a 4-time world champion. And I expect better. To be honest, like I think the standards that you set of a driver with his caliber, yes, I understand all these caveats, and I agree with all these caveats, but also you can't be crashing FP3 and in the race. It's not good. It's not good. And look, I can understand it. The car's not where it should be, but it's just annoying. Like it's annoying for him that this project that looks so promising. I made a video. I'll change the title for a reason. I made the video. Like I thought this new era, once they get the new factory built, This team, big things, but it's been one hell of a false start. And I just hope that now they just need to put that weekend behind them, bring some good upgrades from Imola, give Seb a car that he can at least be competitive in, so we can build that up, and we can hopefully start seeing the old Seb. You know what I mean? Thank you, Chinwag, again for the $2. Aston team works well when they have less money. I mean, you got to say, like, since obviously Lawrence Stroll bought the team out, I mean, I don't know. Otmar's not said too much, but it seems like he was told that he was being relieved of a lot of his duties. I don't know. Obviously, I feel like Lawrence Stroll is the kind of businessman that I wouldn't like. I feel like I wouldn't vibe with the way he does things. Are they successful things to do in business? You know, being very cutthroat, which I feel like he is from what I've read, from what I understand. They can be successful. It doesn't mean you have to agree with it, but also it depends, because this is sport. This is different. This isn't Michael Kors. This isn't Tommy Hilfiger. This is Formula One, and it's very different. Very different. And efficiently managing and operating a racing team. But look, ultimately, his investment in Aston Martin, his investment in his son, Lawrence and Lance aren't going anywhere. They love racing. Lawrence's car collection is a joke. He's got this, he's invested money in Aston Martin to bail him out and build him back up again. I think Lawrence will make it happen eventually. I think he will just, whether or not it's going right at the minute, I think he's got far too many, what's the term? He's got far too many horses in the race to not make it happen eventually. But money will not bring speed, true, but persistence and just keeping doing it will bring something eventually. But yeah, it's not great, is it? Because again, you got to remember, he owns Aston Martin, not just Aston Martin Racing Team. He owns Aston Martin, a part owner, the actual car brand. So that's a bigger asset. So you know what I mean. Aston Martin Racing is just a marketing arm, essentially. One more to say. Oh, yeah, Stroll penalty. For weaving, I mean, we've seen weaving before and it's not been penalised. Funnily enough, it was because, last year, Max and Lewis were both guilty of weaving at times. And wasn't penalised. Obviously, got new race directors being more harsh and stuff like that. So I get that, I think weaving should be like, you can't be weaving. That's dangerous. That's how you cause aeroplane crashes. But Stroll wasn't the only person guilty of it. Hasn't been the only person guilty of it in Formula. He's just got penalised for it, and maybe it's harsh. I don't really know. To be honest, I don't really have a strong opinion on that. So. But yeah, I mean, what I will say as well, it's like, actually, Lance finished P12, the 5-second penalty. He was actually having a pretty good race, I think, all things considered. He was having, considering where the Aston Martin is, I actually think, all qualifying to one side, starting P19, finishing P12, I actually thought Lance had an okay race. He had an alright race. But yeah, I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. The highs that Sebastian Vettel can deliver on his day, when he's comfortable in his car, we saw it last year, 2 podiums, not technically, but 2 podiums. Fantastic result in Monaco. Seb's 4 best results were better than Lance's next best, if that makes any sense, which probably doesn't. Seb's highs are a lot higher than Lance's. That's what I'm saying. So I just hope that Aston can give Seb the car, because clearly, like, that car's nowhere at the minute. All right, cool. Jaguar 2.0. The curse of the green. Perhaps. There's one more team to talk about. It's time It's time. Yes. 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 I'm so happy. Ah, here we go. It's time to talk about Williams. So Latifi, another just nothing weekend. Yeah, I mean, it what like the incident wasn't his fault. The more that I understand about what actually happened, I put very little responsibility because Latifi was fully entitled to go for the space that was there and not be turned into. So obviously that was super disappointing for Nicky and wouldn't have helped his weekend out at all. But yeah, he was nowhere in the race. Finished was the second last because Fernando dropped down so badly. But yeah, I mean, it's one like it was just weird. It was. Did anyone see the Williams Twitter admin posted Albon has pitted, and I didn't print screen. I should have print screened it. But it was actually a picture of Latifi because then they deleted it after. Because then I saw that, and then they were talking about Albon's not pitted, and I was like, but it says here that on Twitter that he has, but he hadn't. And from what I understand, you know, they just kind of made it up. Which look, obviously, when you're in a car that's probably the worst car, if not second worst, whatever, you have to roll a dice sometimes and hope it comes out well. And I mean, for some reason, the car just could handle those hard tyres amazingly. His pace was solid, just gradually worked his way up. I guess it's one of them where, everyone else is doing something different. You might just, that strategy just kind of fell into their lap. Look, as much as I'm going to, praise Alex to high hell on this because, this is long overdue as far as I'm concerned. Look, massive credit to Williams for delivering that strategy and giving him the opportunity to get that result. The team have to take a lot of credit for that. So I'm because I think we've all got a bit of a soft spot for Williams considering the history and the struggles recently, and obviously with Alex at the team now, I've got an extra soft spot for him. Yeah, they are ahead of Aston Martin now with that 1 point, not points. I got carried away. Points at 1 point. But yeah, and I think that strategy just kind of fell into their lap. And I guess as well, it's kind of easier when you are, backfield team. It's easier to just be like, well, we're probably not going to get a point, so we might as well just do something mad because there's no expectation on us. And they did it. Alex made it work. It ended up being super close. If you haven't seen it, just search Albon Joe on Twitter and you'll find the video. Alex had a really slow pit stop, so Williams almost bottled it on the front left. Took ages to get off. It was probably like a 4.5 second pit stop. So that wasn't ideal. But then on pit exit, Joey was coming up, but tried to get switched back on Alex, but kind of lost the rear end. Didn't have the grip in the tyres because he was on very old hard tyres, I think. And yeah, Alex stayed ahead and could just take off and finished about 2 seconds up the road from Joe. Amazing. And yeah, I just think that, again, I was talking with Hayden about this earlier. I feel like Latifi last year it felt like he was getting there. And this season just seems to, and I know it's only 3 races, but these are new cars for everyone. And it almost feels like he's taken a bit of a step back. He's really struggling to get on top of these cars. And I also said this before, because I do think it's true. I think that actually in certain ways, Alex was, in certain ways, one of the best prepared drivers for 2022 because he did, an untold, unprecedented amount of sim work for Red Bull last year, which I'm sure a big part of that was working on this 2022 car. obviously also replicating Silverstone crashes. Duh. But, oh no, that was in real life, sorry. He actually did that in real life, didn't he? Not on the sim. And, but also, yeah, this little stint in DTM. I think that, you know, when you're going into this brand new regulation, I think drivers like Kevin Magnussen, Fernando Alonso, who have experience in different, I think all of that is going to help you adapt. And yeah, look, I'm not at all surprised that Albon is bettering Latifi. I am surprised by how much, again, I know it's 3 races, but how much stronger Albon appears to be relative to Nicholas. Because again, I do think Nicholas has taken a bit of a step back. Because don't get me wrong, like, I love Alex, but do I think he's better than George? No, I don't. But yeah, it's frustrating for Nicky because I like the guy. I want him to do well, but this is his 3rd year at the same team. You're out of excuses after 3 years at the same team. You're out of excuses if you're not making that work. Whether it's you're not got the pace on track, or you're not able to get a setup, or like, part of your job as a driver isn't just to drive the car; it's to work with the team and, you know, create a environment. Obviously, there's a responsibility on the team as well, but it's your best interest in the driver to create an environment where the team can enable you to succeed and do well. And Nicky's not there, and Alex is clearly, like, yes, I know this is a bit of it's a bit of an anomaly result, you know, without Verstappen retiring, without Carlos Sainz retiring. Alex is, just because he got a point, like, does that actually, like, this is the whole, like, we were talking about this last year with George, like, oh, George hasn't got a point, it's a bottle job. Well, no, there's performances of quality. Just because he's got P11 like loads of times, P12 loads of times, that's amazing in a Williams like last year. You know, yes, Albon's got this point. Was it an anomaly? Yes, but he's still clear of Latifi, and it's not. You do wonder. It's not nice to discuss, you know, drivers losing their seats, but, you know, Latifi's not showing enough, clearly. Yeah, they've got Logan Sargent in the wings, who's doing he's not having a great F2 season yet, but I do think Logan's got a lot of ability. With the cost cap, how much do they need that Safina money compared to in the past? Arguably not as much. So I do worry for Nicholas's future. I don't think his future as a pay driver in Formula One, right, under that tag, is as set as Lance's. I think Lance's future is set regardless of what happens. But I think Nicholas's, his performances need to pick up. But yeah, obviously I'm chuffed for Alex. I think, you know, there's been a lot. It's been a difficult. He hasn't had the most straightforward F1 career, but you know what? Also, it's one of them where, you know, the position he's in now, the experience he's got, the struggles he's had, you learn just as much, if not more, from struggles in life. Okay, this applies to everyone, to me, to you, Chuckle Brothers, to an F1 driver. Like, I think Alex has grown and developed a lot. It's not been easy, but the best things in life aren't. And yeah, I'm a very happy boy. Very happy boy. But yeah, well done, Alex. Smashed it. Okay. Cool. I mean, I don't know why people are still arguing in the chat. Thank you, John, for the £2. What's honestly, like, for your own well-being, there is really no point. There's really no point. And like, I'm guilty of it as well. I argue with random people on Twitter all the time, and I'll try not to, because it is just a waste of time and energy. Because you're never going to meet these people. It doesn't actually mean it. It's all sporting opinions, and people say things, and it's all just. We all need to just go and touch grass. That's what we all need to do collectively. Okay, cool. I'm done. Goodbye. Don't worry, I'm not ending that properly. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to all for listening and watching. I have no idea how long have I been live for? It is 2 minutes past 10, and I went live at 8:30. Jesus, this has been a waffly one. It's because I'm tired. I waffle more when I'm tired. Should I see if I can get Minson to come in? Thank you, Big Panda, for the 10 Mexican pesos. Is that? I don't even know. But yeah, thank you all for coming. I'll grab Minton. If you've stayed here to the end, you deserve a bit of Minton. And if it can stop you all arguing, then it's worth it. So give me 2 secs. I'll go and see if I can find him. Minton the miniature. Minton the miniature. Right, here we go. I've got him, everyone. It's okay, don't worry. You can all stop arguing now, because Minton's here. Okay? Here we go. There we go. There he is. The boy wonder. The glorious sausage dog. Hello, mate. Hello. He was being... I wasn't here. So, again, I was... Because Hans had COVID. I wasn't here. And you were being a nightmare, weren't you? Because it was the first night in this new house where I wasn't here. And he was in ultra protective mode. So you kept Hannah up all night, didn't you? Barking. Again. Isn't he just adorable? Let me get his little paws over my hands. Look at how beautiful he is. Hello, good boy. You tired? Yeah, I'm tired as well, mate. I think I'm going to go to bed after this. But yeah, thank you again, everyone, for coming, everyone for watching, for listening. Like the stream, 5 stars, comment, stop arguing, drink water. And I will see you. I'm going to upload a video in the week. Not exact. I think I know what I'm going to do. Not 100% sure yet. Might do a live stream next weekend. Maybe not. Not sure. No race. So there you go. Cheers, John, for another £2, mate. You're very generous. Very, very appreciative. Gonna get you some more treats. Look at him. Right. Cheers, everyone. Be well. Be safe. Be happy. Imola next, which I'm excited for. Right, go on, you go back to bed, buddy. Okay, how do I end the stream? I should know how to do this, shouldn't I? There we go. Right, I'll click that. I'll click this. And I wave goodbye. Bye, everyone. Bye. 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 Bye.